Hey everyone, Chelsea here from So Simple Home. Today's project is a quick quilting project, and I say quick because we're going to turn it into an envelope pillowcase, but it's this fun quilted pumpkin project. This is a great fall project, and I love this one because it can span from September all the way into December. It's not like necessarily holiday related. It could be fall, it could be Halloween, it could be Thanksgiving, it could be whatever other, fall holiday you're into, a fall festival. I think this one is really great because it isn't permanent, right? It's an envelope pillow, which means you can pull it out and you can reuse your pillow. This just goes on my downstairs couch. So it's an envelope case for the pillow. And then you can get really creative with your colors and whatnot. So it's a super fun, and it is a pretty quick project. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that you'll need is the pattern. Now, there are two ways that you can do the pattern. I have put together a printed pattern with the pieces all labeled, how many you'll need to print, all of that, along with a little drawing on where all the pieces go. But if you get the printable, you'll also get the cutting instructions. So if you'd rather not print the pieces and you just want to cut them out using your rotary cutter and your self-healing mat, that's fine as well. So you kind of have both options. I know newer sewers sometimes have a harder time like wanting to cut or feeling like their cut lines are straight or whatnot. So you'll have both options. Now the way the pattern kind of sets up is sort of like this. So D is your main pumpkin. A and C, there's another A piece over here. This is your stem. And then the two B pieces will be your corners that make it into the pumpkin. So here's those B pieces that will make it into the pumpkin, so they'll become triangles eventually. Here's A and C, and then F and E are your outside pieces. So that kind of gives you a visual of what things will sort of look like. I'm going to turn these over just so you can kind of visualize with the colors a little bit what that will look like. So that's kind of what my pumpkin's going to look like. Again, you can get all of these pieces on the link in the description. You can download them from the blog so you're all ready to go and you know what you need. Okay, the other thing that you'll need is some pieces for the back. And again, those dimensions will be in the link in the description so that you can get all the information that you need for the back of that envelope pillow for the case. And I think it's like 13 by 19 or something like that. So, but we'll make sure and get those to you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our pumpkin, which is D, and our two B's. We have B1, which is the top two pieces, and then we have B2, which is the bottom two pieces. And they're really not all that different. B1 is just a little bit wider, just a little bit bigger of a square than B2, and that's mostly just for the look on the pumpkin. So we're going to pin these down, and you can see I just lined them up in the corners. I'm going to pin them down, and then we are going to sew them at an angle. Now, if you're new to sewing with sewing on like a quilting type pattern, what you can do, we're going to sew the triangles is what we're doing. So what you can do is take a marker of some sort, fabric pin, and you're going to match where the corner matches to the other corner. And that's where you're going to sew. You're going to sew that triangle. Okay? So from one corner to the other. And sometimes that helps to draw it, and sometimes that drives people crazy. So it's kind of up to you whether how accurate you feel like you need to be. But that will help you kind of visualize where the line is if you're not sure. So let's pull in our machine here. Turn her on so you can see my line here. That's what I'm lined up right on the corner. This corner of my square matches the corner of my pumpkin. And I'm just going to sew across that line I just drew. Okay, that's all you're doing. Now I'm going to kind of twist my pumpkin here. I'm not even cutting my threads because I'm going to try and not waste some thread. Let's go across that line. Come to the next one here. You don't have to do this. You can cut your threads between each one. But over the years, I hate wasting thread. One more here. Across to my pumpkin. Now I'll get my scissors and trim apart my thread pieces here. This one's a little longer. Got my thread on this end. So that's kind of what it looks like. Take my pins out here. And then I'm going to take my little iron. People always ask me what this is. This is the Cricut Easy Press Mini. It's designed for using on any Cricut projects you might have, but I found that it is like my most favorite tool for sewing. Like my favorite. I'm just looking for my small cutting mat here. Now, we are going to cut these corners. So to do that, I'm going to use a rotary cutter. If you did not have a rotary cutter, that is just fine. You can use a pair of scissors. I'm going to cut these. So here's my line that I've sewn. I'm taking a ruler and I'm measuring at about 1/4 of an inch. You could go to 1/2 inch if you want. And I'm trimming on the outside so that this will turn this way. See how that works? So press, and then you can fold it out like that. Very nice. Okay, same thing here. So I'm going to do my 1/4 of an inch here, 1/4 of an inch over here, and 1/4 of an inch on this way. And then we'll just kind of press these a little bit. And then I'll get my mat here and we'll turn them over. Now I've learned, I don't do a lot of quilting, but in the years that I have quilted, I have learned you're supposed to press to the dark side. Why that is exactly, I cannot say. I think part of it is just so all your seams are going the same direction, but I think too the dark side will kind of hide the seam. So if you have a lighter color material and the dark fabric is shining through it, that might be part of it. But, you know, press however you want. Just get it pressed. So we're just gonna press these on the front side one more time. Okay, there is our pumpkin. Now you can see these triangles here are just a little bit bigger than these triangles. That's what we want. Okay, We're going to set that aside, and we're going to do the stem. So I guess really, in reality, you could start with the stem since it's A and C, but we started with B and D. Now you cut 2 of A and 1 of C. So they'll be sewn together like this. So let's pull our machine out. I just hit it with my foot, so my thread went wonky. Okay, so we're going to take our C piece and put it right sides together with A and stitch that 1/4 inch. And if you're not sure what a 1/4 inch is, it's right here on the edge of your presser foot. So your fabric just lines up right on that edge. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. At a 1/4 inch. And cut. Now you'll notice I'm not back stitching on this. That's because with quilting, because you are going to be sewing all of these pieces together. When you sew over the top of a stitch, it kind of makes its own natural back stitch. And so I'm not wasting thread on back stitching each of these things. Now at the very end, when I put E and F together, I'll do that. So again, I pressed to the dark side. So that's this fabric here. And I kind of pressed it to. And now we're going to put it on our pumpkin. So here's kind of what it looks like. It's crazy, it's getting there, right? So we're gonna put this on and we're gonna center it. And you might have a little overhang on your A's, and that's okay, because we're gonna trim it down once we get this sewn. So I'm just gonna put 3 pins in, making sure that my stem is center of my pumpkin. Bring my machine back over here. And we're going to sew at a 1/4 inch. And I flipped it over just so that I can see my seams on this side, because I want to make sure that they get sewn the right direction, just so things lay flat. Okay. Here we are at the end. Okay, take our ironing board here, press it up. This time we're going to say that the pumpkin is the darker side, but in reality it doesn't make that big a difference. Okay. I've got my big heat press on so I can press this whole thing nice and flat at the end. Okay, so far I got a pumpkin. Now you'll notice I use the same material for here and here. You don't have to do that. On this guy here, I used 2 different ones. It's up to you. It just worked out that that's kind of what I used on this one. But I also did them 2 different directions because I thought that would kind of mix it up a little bit. But isn't that a fun little pumpkin? You could even put, if you wanted to do more of a Halloween theme, you could put like a jack-o'-lantern face on it. That would be really fun. So you have choices. Everything doesn't have to be exactly how I have it here. Okay, now you know we have a little bit up here that's off. So I'm just going to line things up here and just trim that piece down. And same thing on this side. Just trim it down. So everything lines up nicely. So pretty. Love this. I, again, am not a huge quilter. The wrong mat here. I will do small projects, as you can see, like little mug rugs or like this pillow. But anytime I do them, they're so rewarding. I just don't always have the patience to be like, I want to make an entire quilt. I have done it, but it's not my favorite type of sewing, that's for sure. All right, we're ready to put the outsides on. So if we're going alphabetically, we've done, let's see, B and D, and then we did A and C. So now we'll officially go to E. We'll do E before F. We'll end on F. So we have 2 E pieces that will go on either side here to finish off the edge and kind of encase that cute pumpkin. After I made this project, the first one, my husband's like, oh, it could be like a tomato. So if you don't want it to be a pumpkin project, this could be a tomato. Maybe you really love tomatoes. Or you could do a white pumpkin or an acorn squash. All right, we're just doing 1/4 inch all the way down. Just matching those edges. I'm just gonna roll this other side in, and again do just kind of a chain stitch this way. Just make sure that my edges are matching as I go. There we go. I think that's one of the reasons I struggle enjoying quilting, is because there's a little more accuracy to it with measuring and things like that. And I am not always willing to be super accurate. Sometimes I just want to be lazy and be like, yeah, it's 1/4 inch, and I sew it at 3/8 or whatever. So, but this one's pretty forgiving. I mean, if you did several of these, you could make a fun quilt, like a small little fall quilt, maybe like a little lap quilt or something. All right, so there is one side. I'm gonna iron this right here because it's kind of bothering me. If I can get it to lay a little flatter. All right, now we do F. So we have E, and now we have F. We're gonna put F over here and F down here. Now, if it doesn't match perfectly, like this one up here, I did pretty good, but I must have gotten a little off down here. That's okay. What we'll do is take our scissors to it and trim it up so it looks really good and like we were super accurate in our sewing. But try and even it up. So I wouldn't want to go all the way to this side, because then this side would have, you know, 4 fingers here, and this one's only got 2.5. So try and find the middle. I mean, you could even measure the middle and put it on there. Go this way. So sometimes it doesn't match, and that's okay. It's not perfect, it's handmade. That's what you have to remind yourself. Okay, so we're gonna sew F on. Here at the top, at 1/4 inch again, all the way across. Lining up those edges best we can. And turn in the other way. Sew in that way. All right, I've got everything sewn on now. So we're going to press, move those last edges out. nice and flat. I think with this project, that's the biggest thing. Press it nice and flat every single time, so you don't have weird like bunches and things on the different sections. That's the other thing with quilting, you know, that again, a little more accuracy is required, but same with pressing, a little bit more consistency with pressing, consistency with stitching is required to make those quilts look professional like they do. All right, there it is. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Now, yes, there's a little bit, they're a little off in the corners, but that's fine. We're going to get to that here in a second. I'm going to put this in my big presser and get it nice and flat, and then we're going to cut it up. All right, we are all pressed up, and it looks awesome. I'm loving it. Now, when you take your ruler, I have a 24-inch ruler here, and then I have a bigger cutting mat. If I measure from side to side, this is between 19 and 20 inches long, okay? I want this pumpkin square to be 19 inches by 19 inches because my pillow cover, my envelope cover here, the end result is 18 by 18. So we want 19 by 19. So to do that, we have to even up these edges. Now, if we look at our edges, we can see these ones are real uneven. This one's uneven. This one matches up really nice. So I'm actually going to start on this side, and I'm going to make that kind of my baseline. So I'm going to kind of match up this edge here. And then I'm going to measure here. So we're about... Let's see, if we go here, we're about a ½ inch off. So we're just gonna kind of measure off of this guy and line it up and make this side straight. Okay, so this is my straight side. It's completely straight now. So I'm going to use that for my base. I know from here to here is 19 inches because that's how it's measuring. So I'm going to come in here and try and clean this up a little. A little off today, but that's okay. All right. Oops. Side down here didn't come all the way. And then this way we're at just over 19. So we're just going to square it up just a little. Take off about 1/4 inch on this side. And maybe about the same on this side. Getting closer. Okay. So it's not hard. We're just trying to square things up the best that we can. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, we are a little off on the top, but I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to take any extra off. We'll kind of fix it with our sewing a little bit here. So we have that. Now we got to do the envelope portion, so the back portion of our bag. And I have kind of this army green color that I'm going to use. So I'm going to fold it in half just so that you can kind of see the cutting that I'm doing. Just going to try and get the best cut we can out of this. All right, so for the back, I need it to be 19 inches I need 2 pieces, 19 inches by 13 inches. So you can see here I'm at like 24 plus and like 16 over here. So I'm going to start with my 19 because that's easy. I'm going to match up 19 here, cut, and then make sure everybody stays in place here. We're going to come up to 13 and cut across this way, 13 inches. So now I have 2 pieces for my back. That should work out. All right, the next step, we are going to hem our back pieces. So what we want to do is we're going to turn one of the long sides about 1/4 of an inch all the way down, and then do it again. It's going to be one hem, and then the same thing on this one. Turn it 1/4 of an inch. And then we're going to turn it one more time, another 1/4 of an inch. Now we're going to put it in our machine, and we're going to just stitch close to one of those edges, stitch all the way down. And do the same thing for the other one. So we're just encasing that raw edge inside. So there's the 2 pieces. The raw edges are finished on both of them. Now we can make the envelope portion here. So here's my main piece. And then I'm going to match one of my envelope pieces on this side. And then I'm going to match the other one on this side, like so. Pin so they don't come unfolded on top of each other. Is that unfolded doesn't seem like the right word, but you get what I'm saying. And then I'm just going to pin my corners just so things kind of stay. So we're going to start in one corner, and we're going to do a 1/2 inch this time instead of 1/4 of an inch. So a 1/2 inch in, so giving myself a little bit more leeway. And then end up where we started, down at the bottom. All right. Looks good. Looks like everything got enclosed, which is what we want. Now we're going to take our scissors and clip our corners. It's hard to see on that side. So I clip to but not through. So I'm taking a little triangle off on my corners. Now the moment of truth. Let's turn it right side out. See how we feel about it. Take our fingers and push those corners out. Same thing on this side, push those corners out. Looks really good. All right, moment of truth. Now we got to stick it in that pillow. So we're going to open it up. Put one side in. So the finished pillow should come out to be 18 inches by 18 inches. The pillowcase, I guess I should say, should come out to be 18 inches by 18 inches, which is about the size of a standard throw pillow. Sorry, I'm just trying to get all the corners in before we even them out here. There we go. The corner was being fussy. Okay. Looks pretty good. There we go. There is our pumpkin quilted pillow that you can put on your couch, add to a chair on your front porch. It's seasonal, but it is permanent. You can use any throw pillow that you might have and cover with this. It's just really fun. You could add it to a guest bedroom bed. You just have so many options when you use an envelope pillow or an envelope cover. And these two are kind of in the same batch of fabrics. So they're not exactly the same, but they work together. So they're both going to go on my couch. My husband will say this is the tomato and this is the pumpkin. But again, that was not a very long project. I bet we got that done in about half an hour or so. So, you know, a good weekend project to do. You could bust out a couple of them, cut them both out at the same time, and then you have a matching set. All right, let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Remember, the link is in the description along with what you need for the pattern, the cutting directions, all of that stuff. You can find that in the description. And again, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. We'll make sure to check back and answer any that you might have. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.